Welcome to a place where the ocean cradles its deepest secrets in timeless silence. Tonight, we'll drift downward, slowly, into a world 1,000 times darker than midnight, where pressure crushes like mountains, and yet life still glows. The deepest parts of the ocean plunge over 36,000 feet beneath the surface, deeper than Mount Everest is tall. In 1875, the British ship HMS Challenger was the first to sound the Mariana Trench, revealing depths that would haunt imaginations for generations. Now, over a century later, with remotely operated vehicles and deep-diving submersibles, we are only beginning to glimpse the quiet wonders that dwell below. If you enjoy these gentle science journeys, I invite you to like and subscribe, or share a favorite fact in the comments. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. For now, there's nothing you need to do but rest. Settle in, breathe deeply, and let's begin. Fact 1. The Challenger. Deep is the deepest known point in Earth's oceans, resting nearly 36,070 feet below the surface of the Pacific. Imagine stacking over 20 Empire State Buildings downward into the sea, and still having room to spare. This narrow gash in the Mariana Trench, barely wider than a small town, holds more mystery per square inch than almost any other place on Earth. Its pressure is over 1,000 times greater than at sea level, yet even here, in the silent crush of the abyss, life endures. Microorganisms drift in supercooled darkness, shielded by extraordinary biology unlike anything found above. These are extremophils, fragile yet unyielding, offering clues about life's tenacity and perhaps even its presence beyond this planet. Fact 2. In 2019, a man named Victor Vescovo descended into the Challenger Deep aboard a titanium-hulled submersible called the DSV Limiting Factor. It marked the deepest solo dive in human history. As he hovered in silence more than 6 miles beneath the waves, he found something unexpected. A piece of plastic debris resting amid the fine sediment. Even in the Earth's most unreachable realms, traces of the surface world have wandered in. This sobering discovery speaks softly of connection and consequence. A thread linking sky and trench, reminding us that even here, in frozen stillness, the pulse of human life echoes. Yet, alongside this artifact, researchers noted amphipods, shrimp-like scavengers, translucent and moving slowly in the eternal dark. Their bodies containing metals, absorbed from centuries of sunken ships and distant volcanic eruptions. Fact 3. The Mariana Trench, which holds the Challenger Deep, stretches over 1,500 miles across the Pacific Ocean floor, curving like a buried scar beneath the waves. Shaped by the slow, grinding movement of tectonic plates over millions of years, it is a place where the Earth, quite literally, folds into itself. This immense crevice was formed as the Pacific Plate subducted beneath the smaller Mariana Plate, creating a trench so profound that if Mount Everest were placed inside, its summit would still be submerged under a mile of water. In this crushing twilight, the silence is complete, broken only by the subtle motion of drifting marine snow, fragile flakes of organic matter that fall from the brighter world far above. Slowly, gently, this snow feeds the trench dwellers, nourishing unseen lives in an ecosystem built on patience and decay. Fact 4. At such extraordinary depths, bioluminescence becomes a common thread in the language of survival. Many creatures who live in the Hadal zone, named for Hades, the Greek god of the underworld, emit their own faint, ghostly light. One such inhabitant is the deep-sea anglerfish, whose lantern-like lure glows with a smooth blue haze. Suspended in stillness, this eerie beacon attracts unsuspecting prey into the creature's immense toothy jaws. The anglerfish's bioluminescence is not just for hunting, but perhaps also a beacon of communication in a world where sunlight will never reach. The light is conjured not by the fish alone, but through a delicate alliance with symbiotic bacteria nestled within the lure. A silent cooperation, forged in complete darkness. In these realms, where time flows differently, and senses sharpen in the absence of sound or sun, light itself becomes a whisper from one being to another. Fact 5. In the depths beyond 6,000 meters lies the Hadal Zone, named after Hades, and it covers only about 1% of the seafloor. Yet within its narrow bands of extreme pressure and cold, entire ecosystems thrive unseen. One of the most enigmatic residents of these zones is the Hadal snailfish, a translucent creature first recorded alive in 2008 by a Japanese research team. Measuring around 6 inches long and shaped like a soft ribbon with wide, delicate fins, it glides gently near the seafloor where few others can survive. Unlike the armored or spiny animals that dominate shallower benthic zones, the snailfish is delicate, its bones reduced, its body gelatinous, adapted to resist the crushing depths in a way that seems almost ethereal. Scientists have found them over 8,000 meters deep, living in calm seclusion, feeding on tiny amphipods amid flickering sediments. Despite reaching places no light can touch, these creatures give insight into how evolution takes surprising turns to craft life in Earth's quietest places. Fact 6. The temperature in the deepest parts of the ocean hovers just above freezing, often around 1 to 4 degrees Celsius. Yet even within these icy still waters, enzymes hum faintly in microbe cells, and strange fish pulse quietly between shadows. Unlike surface waters that shift with seasons and sun, the deep remains steady, a realm of constant cold, wrapped in perpetual night. This stability allows ancient processes to unfold at glacial paces, offering Earth a slow heartbeat from the abyss. Here, some bacteria feed on chemicals like hydrogen sulfide, released from deep ocean vents, surviving entirely without sunlight. This unique process, called chemosynthesis, supports entire communities, crabs, tube worms, and blind shrimp, forming delicate food chains anchored not in photosynthesis, but in Earth's internal heat. In the vast silence below, life rewrites the rules written everywhere else, unfolding gently like a fossil being formed in real time. Fact 7. Hydrothermal vents, like underwater chimneys, rise up from the seafloor in these deepest reaches, exhaling plumes of superheated, mineral-rich water into the icy dark. Discovered only in 1977 near the Galapagos Rift, these vents can reach temperatures of up to 400 degrees Celsius, yet the surrounding ocean remains near freezing. This stunning contrast creates a unique, shimmering habitat known as a black smoker. Around these vents, life blooms in dazzling defiance of odds. Giant tube worms, bright red with blood-rich plumes, cluster in colonies that can rise over 6 feet tall. They have no mouths or digestive systems, instead hosting symbiotic bacteria that convert vent chemicals into nourishment. These surreal oases in the deep reveal that life can flourish without sunlight, thriving instead on Earth's internal breath. It is a form of existence that speaks quietly of possibilities far beyond Earth, perhaps on icy moons, where oceans too may hide in shadow, warmed not by stars, but from within. Fact 8. Some of the deepest dwelling creatures have evolved extraordinary ways to sense the world around them, relying on vibrations, chemical trails, and minute shifts in water pressure instead of sight. One such inhabitant is the tripod fish, a curious and ghost-like species that perches motionless on the seafloor using elongated fins like stilts. Found below 4,000 meters, it uses its delicate pectoral fins to detect passing prey rather than pursue it. The tripod fish's eyes have withered into near obsolescence, replaced by heightened sensitivity along its skin and fins. In the layered stillness of the deep, where light does not beckon and sound is swallowed, these creatures embody a quiet brilliance, proof that life does not just survive here. It listens, it waits, and it adapts with patient ingenuity. Fact 9. Deep beneath the ocean's surface, scientists have discovered vast fields of manganese nodules carpeting the abyssal plains, metallic stones that form over millions of years at depths ranging from 4,000 to 6,000 meters. These nodules grow layer by layer as minerals like iron and manganese slowly precipitate around small fragments of bone, shell, or rock. Some are no larger than marbles, others more like potatoes strewn across a barren, pitch-black desert. Despite the sparse light and frigid stillness, these nodules harbor entire microhabitats. Tiny brittle stars, sea cucumbers, and ghost-like polychaete worms thread between them in careful silence, feeding on the steady drift of organic snow and microscopic particles. These ancient formations, older than some mountain ranges, remind us that even in stillness, the ocean floor is quietly building its own forms of time, life, and quiet geology. Fact 10. In the twilight depths of the ocean, far beneath the threshold where sunlight can reach, drifts an elegant predator known as the gulper eel. This deep-sea wanderer can reach lengths of up to 6 feet, though its body is slender and ghostly pale. Its most astonishing feature is its enormous mouth, capable of inflating like a balloon to engulf prey much larger than itself. The gulper eel uses this oversized, expandable jaw not for daily hunting frenzies, but for rare and vital meals in a realm where food is scarce. Its tail glows with a soft pink bioluminescence, perhaps used to lure prey into the perfect range before the creature unfurls its giant maw in silence. With no need for speed in an environment of pressing patience, the gulper eel floats rather than swims, a spectral presence in the quiet miles below, waiting with poise and darkness as its only guide. Fact 11. At depths that feel more dream than distance, one may encounter the enigmatic Dumbo octopus. First described in 1883 but rarely seen in its natural habitat, this small cephalopod hovers through the deep like a curious ghost, its ear-like fins gently pulsing on either side of its head. Most species measure less than a foot in length, yet their movement is mesmerizing. Slow, balletic, and almost playful as they navigate the ink-dark void. Living at depths of 3,000 to nearly 7,000 meters, the Dumbo octopus avoids the hurried pace of the upper ocean, choosing a rhythm guided by calm. Unlike many of its relatives, it does not squirt ink or change color dramatically. Instead, it folds in on itself, dances through the water with ripples and curls, and feeds softly on snails and worms drifting along the seabed. Its name, though whimsical, belies an elegance, a quiet resilience wrapped in folds of soft biology, moving through the dark like a whispered lullaby from the sea itself. Fact 12. Deep within the narrow confines of deep-sea trenches, there exists a creature known as the amphipod Hirundellea gigas, a tiny scavenger that yet holds a place of quiet marvel. Found at over 10,000 meters beneath the waves, it lives where few others can, enduring pressures equivalent to 50 jumbo jets resting upon a single square meter. What sets this amphipod apart is not its size, but its adaptability. Scientists discovered that it produces a unique aluminum-based gel from seafloor sediment, which may help reinforce its exterior against the immense pressure. This biochemistry, previously unknown, is a reminder that life in the abyss experiments in ways far removed from surface logic. Hirundellea gigas feeds on fragments of organic matter that drift down from above, recycling the distant world's remains into renewed cycles of life. In total darkness and hushed extremes, even the smallest being becomes a lesson in survival, quiet innovation, and the delicate persistence of nature under impossible odds. Fact 13. In the dreamlike deep, beneath crushing layers of water and time, lies a species known as the dragonfish. This sleek predator, measuring just several inches long, carries within its slender form a weapon of invisibility. Some dragonfish possess pigments that absorb their own red, bioluminescent glow, rendering them nearly impossible to detect in the infrared spectrum. In a realm where light is a rare and precious thing, the ability to create and cloak illumination offers both offense and defense. Their needle-like teeth, transparent and razor-sharp, seem forged from glass, unseen until too late. Suspended in near-perfect blackness, they strike with a precision bred by eons. The dragonfish glows not for beauty, but as a decoy and a lure. Its light, a trap cast into ancient silence. In its delicate armor and hidden fire, the dragonfish carries both menace and wonder. A drifting torch in the always night. Fact 14. Among the quietest yet most remarkable discoveries of the Hadal depths is the existence of deep-sea jellyfish, like those of the genus Deepsteria. These gelatinous beings unfurl their translucent bells like spectral parachutes, billowing soundlessly through the black water. With bodies sometimes stretching nearly a meter across, they pulse slowly, almost meditatively, capturing drifting particles or small prey with their trailing webs of oral arms. Unlike surface jellyfish that dart and sting in shimmering shallows, Deepsteria seems designed for contemplation. Its movements undulate like silk caught in a gentle breeze, despite the crushing pressure surrounding it. Internally, the jelly's stomach folds into mesmerizing patterns, a biomechanical origami illuminated by the subtle glow of bioluminescent companions or the occasional flicker of vent light far below. It is a reminder that beauty thrives even in silence, and that grace, in the deep sea, often comes in the slowest of motions. Fact 15. In the deep pelagic zones of the ocean where no solid ground lies beneath, a fish called the barreleye drifts with eyes unlike those of any other creature. Its head is transparent, a dome of clear tissue revealing large green tubular eyes pointed upward to detect silhouettes of prey above. First described in the 1930s but largely unknown until deep-sea cameras captured footage in 2009, the barreleye defies expectations with its quiet gaze into the endless dark. It hovers motionlessly, suspended by delicate fins, conserving energy in a realm where every calorie is a gift. Scientists believe these tubular eyes can rotate within the skull, allowing it to shift focus from the silhouettes above to the food drifting ahead. Its body appears motionless, but within its glassy crown, evolutionary innovation glows softly like starlight trapped beneath water. The barreleye lives between 600 and 800 meters deep, in a pelagic twilight, where shadows bloom and disappear with equal silence, a timeless space where looking upward is not hope, but survival. Fact 16. Near hydrothermal vents deep in the ocean's floor, researchers have discovered ghostly white crabs, often referred to as yeti crabs, due to the fine hairs covering their legs. One such species, named Kiwa hirsuta, was first encountered in 2005 at a depth of around 200 meters. These crabs are not just curiosities of form, but wonders of adaptation. Their bristle-covered claws are more than decoration. They host filamentous bacteria that may help detoxify the harsh chemicals spewed by nearby vents, or even serve as a food source. In the cold, mineral-rich waters of these deep habitats, the yeti crab dances a slow ballet, swaying its arms in rhythmic motions to cultivate its bacterial gardens. With no eyes to guide them, they depend on subtle chemistry instead of vision, moving by touch and instinct. Their presence suggests not just survival, but symbiosis and strange harmony. A quiet agriculture in the darkest corners of Earth. Fact 17. Drifting through the bathypelagic realm, also poetically called the Midnight Zone, is a nearly invisible creature called the glass squid. Belonging to the Cranchidae family, these squids have bodies so transparent that even their internal organs are hard to discern. Tucked between 200 and 1,000 meters below the surface, the glass squid uses this transparency as camouflage against predators from below, blending seamlessly with the faint light above. Some species possess light-producing organs on their undersides, creating a subtle glow that matches the water's filtered ambient light, rendering them almost invisible from both above and below. Filled with ammonia-rich fluid in their soft sacs, these squids achieve buoyancy without swimming. They float with dreamy stillness, their balloon-like bodies pulsing lightly with each movement. In the vast open dark, where direction loses meaning and sound is a distant idea, the glass squid is a gentle paradox. Oh no. Yai. Entirely present within the liquid quiet. Fact 18. Below the continental slopes, on the broad reaches of the abyssal plains, lives the sea pig, a soft-bodied sea cucumber with tubular legs and a rounded, almost cartoonish form. These creatures drift slowly across the ocean floor in herds, congregating in numbers that can reach into the thousands, especially in areas rich with fallen organic material. Sea pigs use their tube feet not only for movement, but also to gently sift through seafloor sediments in search of nourishment. Despite their delicate, balloon-like appearance, they are well suited to life under immense pressure, moving gracefully among manganese nodules and marine snow. Their transparent, pinkish bodies are supported by internal water pressure, a gentle adaptation to the crushing density of the abyss. In this still seascape, the sea pig is a symbol of quiet community, proof that even in the loneliest parts of the world, nature finds companions and patterns of peaceful, purposeful drift. Fact 19. Deep within the hydropelagic trenches, where the ocean curves into its final, silent folds, scientists have observed something that appears out of place. Gelatinous spheres, perfectly round, suspended in the gloom like forgotten pearls. These mystery orbs, often just a few centimeters across, are thought to be egg masses laid by deep-sea cephalopods. Yet, their exact origin remains unknown. Without the flash of daylight or the witness of frequent travelers, these egg sacs float gently, untouched and undisturbed, waiting in the darkness for time to unlock them. Their translucent casings shimmer faintly under submarine lights, revealing embryonic shadows curled inside. Each orb is a silent promise, a life paused in patience, held by the oldest waters on Earth. In the deep, where stillness reigns and memory drifts like silt, even the unborn carry stories waiting to begin. Fact 20. In oceanic trenches far below the reach of light or warmth lies a creature uniquely adapted to silence, the cusk eel, considered among the deepest living fish ever recorded. One particular species, Abyssobrachula galathei, was discovered in the Puerto Rico Trench at a depth nearing 8,170 meters. Pale and nearly blind, it drifts slowly along the ocean floor, its flabby body adapted to conserve energy in a place where food is scarce and time seems to forget itself. The bones of the cusk eel are partially dissolved, softened by the immense pressure of its environment, yet its adaptability allows it to move with ghost-like ease. It feeds on whatever it can find: fragments of detritus, drifting creatures, or minute particles in the sediment. Its entire life unfolds in silence, unseen and uncelebrated, yet perfectly suited to its impossible home. In places where light never visits, the cusk eel survives not through grandeur, but through serene endurance, a quiet testament to life's patient resilience. Fact 21. Scattered across the abyssal seafloor, glass sponges anchor themselves into the soft sediments like living chandeliers, their delicate silica skeletons forming lattice-like structures that seem sculpted from frost. One species, Euplectella aspergillum, sometimes called the Venus's flower basket, can live for thousands of years at depths over 3,000 meters. This sponge often hosts a pair of small shrimp, male and female, who climb inside its protective shell as juveniles and remain there for life, a miniature partnership encased in filigree. Japanese tradition once gifted these sponges as wedding symbols, a homage to lifelong companionship. But beyond romance, the sponge itself is a marvel of endurance, filtering seawater for nutrients among currents barely strong enough to stir a grain of sand. In its silent watch over the deep, it spins a home from minerals and time, proving that even at the edge of silence, something beautiful can quietly endure. Fact 22. Among the eeriest voices in the deep ocean is one we cannot see but only hear: the mysterious bloop. First detected in 1997 by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, it was a low-frequency, ultra-powerful sound recorded thousands of miles apart by underwater listening stations. For years, it eluded explanation, igniting speculation of unknown sea monsters or hidden geological forces. Later analysis suggested the bloop was likely generated by ice quakes. The fracturing of massive icebergs was, but the mythology it inspired lingers, echoing the fact that even today, immense portions of the ocean remain acoustically alive with sounds we cannot trace. Beneath miles of water and unseen folds of molten earth, the sea still whispers things we don't yet understand, and perhaps never fully will. Fact 23. In the cold, untouched heart of the deep sea, researchers have discovered hexactinellid sponges that possess a remarkable property: the ability to conduct light through their glass-like spicules. These spicules, composed of silica, channel faint light through the sponge's body, much like fiber optic cables, though the source of illumination may be microbial bioluminescence or scattered traces from nearby vents. This quiet engineering within a simple structure speaks to evolution's refined artistry. One such sponge species, Pharea oca, unfolds in layered fans, its intricate meshes resembling frozen lacework drifting in slow currents. These organisms filter vast volumes of water each day, patiently extracting tiny organisms and organic matter. In doing so, they help clean the ocean's deepest basins, contributing invisibly to the planet's balance. Their light-bearing glass threads and immobile grace offer not just shelter to smaller creatures, but a gentle metaphor that in the most silent parts of the world, life still finds ways to shimmer, however faint the glow. Fact 24. Lurking in the Hadal trenches, far beyond the reach of diver or daylight, scientists have encountered deep-dwelling sea anemones gently tethered to narrow rock ledges. Unlike their shallow water cousins with their vibrant colors and sun-dappled dances, these anemones move with solemn grace, their tentacles waving slowly in the freezing dark, like ethereal hands reaching upward into forever. Some species have been found as deep as 10,000 meters, surviving not through aggressive feeding, but by harvesting whispers of nourishment carried down from the surface. Tiny plankton, decaying particles, and marine snow. Their stinging cells remain active, poised patiently for chance. While little is known about their reproduction or lifespans, what is certain is their resilience. In the stillness of these great depressions, the sea anemone holds steady, a quiet bloom flourishing where almost nothing else dares, reminding us that even the ocean's most solemn corners are not lifeless, but quietly in bloom with mysteries beyond measure. Fact 25. In the pitch-dark trenches of the deep sea, basking shark embryos are known to exhibit a behavior called intrauterine oophagy, where the developing young feed on unfertilized eggs produced by the mother before birth. Though more common in shallower relatives, this curious reproductive strategy may extend to deep-sea variants as well, where survival begins before the world is ever seen. The term itself sounds harsh for such a silent, hidden act, yet in the immense stillness of the ocean's underbelly, such adaptations ensure the next generation has strength before it even breathes. Deepwater sharks gestate for years, perhaps even over 3, their slow development mirroring the glacial pace of the abyss. Scientists believe some species may delay reproduction for decades, giving birth to only a few pups at a time, each one a quiet heir to survival. In the darkness where light is forgotten and time moves differently, life does not rush. It readies. It prepares with care, in silence, and in slow resolve. Fact 26. In the calm, lightless plains beyond 3,000 meters deep, behold the feathery sea lily, an ancient echinoderm that resembles a flower adrift in time. Though it looks like a plant tethered to the seabed, it is in fact an animal, stretching delicate, feathery arms into slow-moving currents. These arms sway gently, filtering plankton and tiny organic fragments from the passing water, feeding softly in the hush of the deep. Some sea lily species anchor themselves with root-like holdfasts to rocky outcrops, while others float just above the sediment on long, jointed stalks. With a lineage that stretches back over 500 million years, the sea lily is both living fossil and quiet sentinel, its elegant form unchanged by the rush of ages. In a world where everything moves slowly, or not at all, it thrives as a patient gatherer of whispers, drifting endlessly on the deep sea breeze. Fact 27. Beneath the edge of the Southern Ocean, in waters touched by the Antarctic circumpolar current, lies a curious inhabitant of the deep known as the Antarctic icefish. These fish dwell at depths of up to 1,600 meters in waters that hover just below the freezing point. What makes them remarkable is not only their tolerance for cold, but their blood, clear and ghostly, entirely lacking hemoglobin. Instead of iron-rich red blood cells, their oxygen is dissolved directly into the plasma and transported slowly through their cold, low-pressure systems. This adaptation works because the icy water holds more dissolved oxygen, allowing the icefish to glide with minimal energy. Their bodies, pale as frost and nearly translucent, pulse gently through the dark, fins trailing with the softness of silk. In this frigid realm where others would freeze, the icefish survives not through warmth, but by becoming part of the cold itself, a drifting echo of evolution's endless patience. Fact 28. In the gently sloping gullies of the ocean floor, deep among the sediment-laden ridges, lives a seemingly immortal presence, the deep-sea coral. Unlike its vibrant reef cousins near the surface, deep-sea coral forms slowly in cold darkness, without the aid of sunlight or photosynthetic algae. One species, Leiopathes glaberrima, has been dated at over 4,000 years old, making it one of the oldest known living animals on Earth. It grows just a few millimeters per year, its dark branches twisting patiently through the centuries into intricate thickets of shelter and passage. These corals serve as habitats for countless other deep-sea creatures, from brittle stars to fish larvae, quietly shaping their ecosystems in the dim. They do not bloom or splash with color, but their skeletons, made of protein and minerals, hold the record of time like tree rings in the sea. In their motionless beauty, these marvels remind us, not all wisdom is fast, and not all miracles require light. Fact 29. Between the mineral towers of ancient vent fields, researchers have found fields of giant isopods, segmented crustaceans that look like oversized pill bugs, measuring up to 14 inches long. Found at depths of 500 to over 2,000 meters, these scavengers roam slowly across the seabed, feeding on the remains of fallen fish, squid, and even whale carcasses. Once a mundane terrestrial insect's distant cousin, the isopod has evolved into a stoic giant, wrapped in a hard chitinous shell and moving with calculated stillness. Their massive size is an example of deep-sea gigantism, a phenomenon where organisms in the deep grow much larger than their shallow water relatives. Scientists believe low temperatures, high pressures, and scarce predators all contribute to this exaggerated growth. Watching a giant isopod crawl along the seafloor is like observing a silent sentinel of a forgotten age, armored and unhurried, attending to the broken echoes of the upper world. In the calm of the deep sea, even scavenging becomes a measured, solemn ritual, wrapped in stillness and survival. Fact 30. One of the quieter enigmas of the ocean's abyss lies not in a creature, but in its movement, the slow, drifting currents that course through the deepest trenches, known as abyssal circulation. While surface waves crash and roar, these deep flows move with the tempo of centuries, shaped by temperature, salinity, and the turning of the Earth. It can take a single water molecule over 1,000 years to complete its journey through the global ocean conveyor belt, flowing from the poles to the equator and back again. These movements are invisible to the eye, but essential to life, redistributing nutrients, regulating climate, and connecting the world's seas in hush and darkness. Like a breath too slow to sense, the abyss exhales quietly beneath us, carrying whispers from Greenland's icy coasts to the floor of the Southern Ocean. In this hidden rhythm, the ocean reveals its patience and its power, reminding us that even in the deepest places, the world is always turning. Ink softly, steadily, forever. Fact 31. Amid the long shadows of deep-sea canyons, a strange and luminous presence can be seen drifting slowly. Siphonophores, colonial organisms made of thousands of interconnected individuals, each serving a single function. The most famous among them is Praia dubia, possibly the longest creature on Earth, extending up to 160 feet in length, longer than a blue whale. These hypnotic drifters are not a single being, but a delicate orchestra of parts, some for movement, some for feeding, and others simply designed to glow. Bioluminescent pulses run along their translucent bodies like soft lightning, creating a slow, silent light, show no eye ever witnesses. With tentacles that dangle in elegant loops, they snare drifting prey in a ballet of near-invisible threads. In the stillness of the lower mesopelagic zones, the siphonophore is a glowing whisper of complexity, a fragile network of lives functioning as one, casting soft spells of light as if the ocean herself had woven her own quiet constellation. Fact 32. Far below the sunlit waves, in the brooding quiet of the bathyal zone, scientists have discovered the ghostly outlines of brine pools, dense lakes of salt water that sit atop the seafloor, separate from the surrounding ocean. Formed by highly concentrated saline seepage, these underwater lakes do not mix readily with the waters above due to their extreme density, creating a distinct and eerie boundary where chemical composition and life shift dramatically. Their edges shimmer like liquid mercury, and when observed through submersibles, they appear as smooth, motionless mirrors, holding secrets within. Certain brine pools contain lethal concentrations of hydrogen sulfide, making them inhospitable to most marine life. Yet, hugged close to their forbidding margins, extremophiles thrive. Specialized mussels, bacteria, and tube worms feeding off chemical reactions rather than sunlight. These alien-like pockets, isolated within the ocean's depth, reveal how life can flourish on the edge of toxicity, crafting existence in invisible folds of density and chemistry, where death and persistence quietly embrace. Fact 33. Perched on the steep escarpments of submarine mountains, the rat-tail fish, also called grenadiers, are among the most frequently seen inhabitants of the deep bathypelagic and abyssal zones. With large heads, tapering bodies, and expressive eyes adapted for maximizing every trace of light. They hover slowly, just above the sediment, their movements measured and deliberate. Rat tails have been observed scavenging near whale falls, where the skeletons of great cetaceans create islands of abundance on the otherwise sparse seafloor. Some specimens have been recorded at depths exceeding 6,000 meters. Their sensory systems finely tuned to detect even the faintest movement or chemical trace in the gloom. They use their long, trailing tails like rudders, steering quietly as they patrol ancient paths cut by time and current. In their calm persistence, they echo the deep itself, subdued, enduring, and elegant, a living line that tethers the unseen to the known across eons of ocean quiet. Fact 34. In the deepest meters of soundless water, one can find microbial mats gently coating the rocks near cold seeps, regions where hydrocarbons like methane leak from the ocean floor. These mats are composed of chemosynthetic bacteria that form ribbon-like colonies, absorbing chemicals and glowing with faint pearliness under artificial lights. Unlike hydrothermal vents that gush with heat, cold seeps exhale slowly, releasing sustenance in murmurs rather than roars. Their microbial inhabitants form the foundation of complex communities, where clams with symbiotic bacteria nestle in the muck, and fragrant plumes of methane serve as the basis of life. Some of these seeps may persist for centuries, or reawaken after years of dormancy, like breaths taken at a different rhythm. In a world where even time is subdued, these cold seeps are oases of strange life, places where existence rises not from warmth or light, but from the quiet chemistry of Earth's underground thoughts. Fact 35. Floating gently in the open void between seafloor and surface is a creature called the salp, a barrel-shaped gelatinous zooplankton that often moves in long, rhythmic chains. Unlike any common jellyfish or fish, salps propel themselves by contracting their bodies, drawing in water and expelling it like a living piston. These soft-bodied travelers are nearly transparent and can range in size from a fingertip to the length of a human arm. Found even in deeper ocean layers, salps play a quiet but vital ecological role. As they feed on phytoplankton and microscopic particles, they produce tiny, carbon-rich pellets that sink to the ocean floor, helping sequester carbon in the deep. Their delicate forms often drift in aligned harmony, moving as one pulse across the still water, almost a slow-motion choir of moonlight chimed into being. In their elegant simplicity and ghost-like grace, salps remind us that impact is not always noisy, and beauty not always seen, but felt in the softest rhythms of the sea. Fact 36. Not all shipwrecks fade into history. Some become sanctuaries in the abyss. At great depths, where sunlight cannot follow, sunken ships slowly transform into artificial reefs, drawing life to their quiet, rusted forms. Over time, their hulls become encrusted with deep-sea corals, their beams wrapped in sponge and sediment. One such example is the W-2 vessel USS Johnston, discovered nearly 6,500 meters below the surface in the Philippine Sea. Though twisted by time and pressure, its silhouette remains, a silent monument resting on the seafloor. Around it, rat tails, cusk eels, and ghostly anemones dwell, finding niches and shelter in its collapsed corridors. Life reclaims the ship inch by inch, not in conquest, but in calm habitation. These graves of the past become museums for the present, not visited by eyes or footsteps, but by the slow drift of creatures who remember nothing of war, only the contours of shelter and the rhythm of the deep. Here, memory and biology intertwine, and steel is softened by coral and quiet. Fact 37. Near deep methane seeps and undersea landslides, scientists have uncovered the presence of tube-building annelid worms that create delicate, spiraling colonies along the slopes of the ocean floor. These worms secrete mineralized tubes, often enriched with iron or calcium, assembling mazes of miniature chimneys and tunnels that may last for centuries. In the darkness, they appear like lacework, frozen in silt and salt, each home adorned with filaments extending into the void to catch drifting nutrients. Some species form symbiotic relationships with bacteria that harvest energy from the chemicals emitted by nearby seeps, transforming toxic compounds into sustenance. Their colonies become slow-growing reefs in motionless stillness, hosting tiny stars of biodiversity. It is here, far from sunlight, that life reimagines architecture not as grand, but as graceful. A series of patient spirals spiraling deeper into the silence, writing a story of cooperation and survival, wordlessly into the sediments of time. Fact 38. In the shifting silts of the deep Atlantic seabed, researchers have recently encountered a mysterious organism known colloquially as the blue ghost fish. First documented during a 2016 NOAA deep sea expedition, this fish glides with translucent fins and a pale, shimmering body that almost disappears into the surrounding water. Believed to be a member of the family Aphyonidae, or blind cusk eels, its skin lacks pigment and it shows no visible scales. Its gelatinous form bends and flows with the current, giving it the appearance of a dream moving through darkness. What makes this fish particularly intriguing is its apparent fragility. A body so soft it could collapse outside the pressurized abyss, yet perfectly adapted to the crushing weight of the deep. With no need for rapid movements or strong defenses, the blue ghost fish embodies life's quiet surrender to its environment, letting the ocean hold it completely. In the deepest parts of the sea, where boundaries blur and light is only memory, this creature reminds us that sometimes survival is the art of vanishing. Fact 39. Along the yawning slopes of the mid-ocean ridges, scattered fields of pillow lava and volcanic fissures quietly shape the very crust of the Earth. These deep-sea volcanic zones, hidden thousands of meters beneath the waves, gradually extrude new seafloor through a process called seafloor spreading. The lava emerges in rounded, bulbous formations known as pillow basalts, their shapes molded by rapid cooling in the freezing seawater. In these otherwise bleak expanses, delicate life clings to the fresh rock. Bacterial mats, tube worms, and even blind crabs finding footholds amid the molten scars. Though the eruptions occur under immense pressure and without fire or sound, their force is no less profound. Over millions of years, these volcanic gatherings write the contours of continents in invisible ink, building the world from beneath. And as they cool and harden in silence, they become stages for ancient dramas to begin anew. Life, finding its place, again and again, wherever Earth unfolds herself in heat and hush. Fact 40. Deep below the Southern Ocean, among the jagged trenches near the Kerguelen Plateau, lives a strange and luminous visitation known as the comb jelly, or ctenophore. Unlike true jellyfish, comb jellies move not by pulsing, but by rows of cilia, tiny hair-like paddles that beat in coordinated waves along their bodies. When illuminated, these shimmering rows scatter light into iridescent rainbows, like softly spinning prisms caught under the sea. Though many comb jellies are shallow drifters, some species have been discovered clinging to life at depths beyond 7,000 meters, their delicate forms drifting in vast silence. With transparent bodies, faint luminescence, and gelatinous grace, they seem to float between worlds, neither wholly creature nor phantom. Some species possess trailing tentacles lined with sticky cells instead of stinging ones, capturing drifting prey with silent efficiency. In the ocean's deepest reaches, the comb jelly echoes a lullaby of movement. Fluid, glowing, and gentle. A final reminder that even in the furthest folds of water and wonder, beauty drifts endlessly, waiting to be seen in stillness. Fact 41. In the remote trenches of the eastern Pacific, gliding just above the abyssal mud, there moves a gentle architect known as the acorn worm. These slow burrowers belong to a primitive group called hemichordates, often considered evolutionary intermediates between invertebrates and vertebrates. Deep-sea acorn worms are ribbon-like and gelatinous, with soft, tapered bodies that leave meandering trails in the sediment behind them. With no eyes and little need for haste, they sift through the sea floor in search of organic matter, their touch alone guiding them through the dark. As they move, they sculpt the seabed into ribbons and ridges, intricate patterns that mark their quiet passage like cursive written in silt. It is not the worm itself that first caught scientists' eyes, but these delicate geometries, fossil-like signatures of life, etched into the deep where no wind or tide disturbs them. In the stillest parts of the world, the acorn worm reminds us that brushes of grace can appear even when no one is watching, beauty unfolding in the blank spaces between the beats of time. Fact 42. Beneath the crushing depths of the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench lies an ethereal discovery: xenophyophoras, giant single-celled organisms that measure several inches across. Though composed of a single cell, these creatures are larger than some insects and more complex than their simplicity suggests. They build intricate housing structures from particles gathered from their surroundings, forming delicate formations that resemble underwater lace or fine coral. Found at depths beyond 10,000 meters, xenophyophores are immune to the weight of the deep, flourishing where few others exist. Their cell walls may trap heavy metals, bacteria, and sediment particles, creating microhabitats for smaller life forms within their fragile frameworks. Despite their ghostly presence in ancient lineage, they are poorly understood, often breaking apart when touched or even observed too long. Yet they endure, a quiet hint that evolution presses forward even when unseen. In the deepest stillness, the xenophyophore listens, persists, and builds, not with tools or motion, but with pure presence, sculpting the abyss one whisper of dust at a time. Fact 43. Threading through the silted corridors of ancient ocean basins, long-armed octopuses such as Grimpoteuthis, often lovingly called Dumbo octopuses for their ear-like fins, appear with ghostly grace. Some of these species have been documented at depths exceeding 7,000 meters, making them among the deepest dwelling octopuses known. Unlike their more hurried cousins near the surface, they move with unhurried undulations, retracting and unfurling their webbed arms as though parting curtains of the sea. Their gelatinous bodies are soft and neutrally buoyant, enabling them to hover effortlessly in gentle currents shaped by century-old thermohaline flows. Feeding on benthic invertebrates with small, precise beaks, they barely disturb the sediment beneath them, as if respectful of the silence they swim through. Scientists believe their low-energy lifestyles are a response to both scarcity and solitude in the Hadal zones. In these twilight realms, where no eyes peer and no winds cross, the Dumbo octopus becomes more than animal. It becomes quiet, embodied, drifting in slow spirals over the last unwritten pages of Earth's watery depths. Fact 44. Deep beneath the equatorial Atlantic, nestled into rocky outcrops near the mid-Atlantic ridge, scientists have discovered curious ecosystems built around iron-oxidizing bacteria. These microbes create fragile structures called iron mats, layers of rust-hued filaments that slowly spread across ancient stone. As the bacteria metabolize dissolved ferrous iron diffusing from the Earth's crust, they leave behind delicate, branching formations, shaping the very surface they inhabit. These mats may stretch for meters, resembling burnt lace or threadbare coral, their colors a warm contrast to the endless blue darkness beyond. Although they grow in silence, they represent one of Earth's oldest forms of life, and energy harvesting. Around them, tiny organisms gather, snails, worms, isopods, forming miniature food webs born entirely from chemical transformation. In a domain where stars never shine and sunlight is only echo, these iron breathers write a tale of slow persistence, where even rust becomes a living thing, and creation unfolds not in flame, but in the patient oxidation of the sea's hidden metals. Fact 45. In a rare and distant trench near the Tonga Kermadec subduction zone, scientists deployed deep-diving vehicles and uncovered a curious anomaly, a stretch of seafloor that shimmered faintly, flecked with fragments of metallic glass. These traces, believed to be remnants of ancient meteorites that sank into Earth's oceans over millennia, glimmer like fallen stars laid to rest beneath miles of water. Analysis suggests they are composed of nickel, iron, and rare minerals formed under cosmic temperatures. These meteorite shards now lie embedded among the sediments, untouched by current or time, their outlines softened by marine growth and the constant hush of the ocean deep. Around them, life has made quiet arrangements, microbacteria colonizing their edges, and nearby polychaete worms using the glinting stones as shelter and landmark. In this convergence of space and sea, the trench becomes a quiet reliquary, a sacred vault holding pieces of a distant sky. And here, in the sunless dark, Earth tucks away her messages from the stars, letting them rest in silence among the deepest dreams of the sea. Fact 46. Along the shadowed slopes of the Ryukyu Trench in the Western Pacific, researchers have discovered slow-growing fields of foraminifera, tiny, shell-forming protists that build elaborate spiral homes from calcium carbonate. Though each is only the size of a grain of sand, together they blanket the seafloor in a fine layer of quiet architecture. Some species are planktonic, drifting down from upper waters, while others are benthic, clinging to rocks and sediment. Their shells, known as tests, can preserve chemical traces of the ocean's past, making them both living organisms and historical recorders. Scientists use these microfossils to reconstruct ancient climates and ocean currents, linking their quiet cycles to planetary rhythms long gone. In death as in life, foraminifera become part of the ocean's slow sedimentary quilt, stitched across eons, building layers of memory shared among the cliffs and plains of the deep. Through their spirals and silence, they teach us that even the smallest forms can shape the memory of a world. Fact 47. Lurking near the base of the Peru-Chile Trench, where the South Pacific presses deepest into Earth's crust, researchers have spotted the haunting presence of deep-sea feather stars, relatives of sea lilies that float freely rather than anchoring to rock. Unlike their rooted kin, these feather stars swim by rhythmically waving their fronded arms, drifting with ghost-like elegance through the water column. Their arms, lined with feathery pinnules, capture drifting plankton and marine snow, feeding without sound or effort as they navigate ancient currents. Some species may fluoresce faintly when disturbed, releasing a shimmer that vanishes moments after appearing, as though the ocean had briefly exhaled a secret. Their bodies, delicate yet resilient, often curl inward like sleeping hands when resting, gripping bits of stone or shell in the sediment. In these overlooked corners of the sea, where movement is rare and sight is almost myth, the feather star spins its own quiet ballet, a weightless creature wrapped in water instead of air, dancing to an unseen rhythm written in the whisper of tides. Fact 48. In the secluded folds of the Japan Trench, scientists have uncovered the presence of deep-sea ctenophores, or comb jellies, whose bodies shimmer with delicate, refracted light. These creatures bear oval forms, trimmed with rows of luminescent cilia. They ripple in waves, delicate paddles that push them silently through the void, like drifting lanterns. Some of these species, adapted to the trench's crushing pressure and low temperature, possess translucent tissues so refined that their bodies nearly vanish in water. They pulse softly, catching motes of organic matter from the surrounding dark, feeding gently in an environment devoid of haste. Their bioluminescent displays bloom like quiet auroras when touched or disturbed, fading slowly into the abyss like sighs of the sea. In the stillness of the trench walls, these beings drift as though exhaled from the Earth's dreams, graceful and unknowable, moving with the care and timing of stars falling unseen. They are the ocean's gentle riddles. Each flicker, a lullaby wrapped in fluid silence. Fact 49. Folded deep within the Aleutian Trench near Alaska, researchers have observed strange currents stirring fine sediments into swirling veils, revealing a subtly active layer of life previously hidden. Among these soft trails, delicate benthic foragers like sea pens and brittle stars extend their arms into the moving water, orchestrating slow harvests from the drifting detritus above. Sea pens rise like feathered plumes, some nearly 2 feet tall, gently anchored in the silt, their forms swaying with grace, untouched by sound. Their polyps bloom in measured sequence, capturing microscopic prey with the unhurried cadence of tidal breath. Alongside them, brittle stars emerge from their crevices, moving with flexible precision, their limbs threading silently through the substrate. In this twilight tapestry, sediment becomes sky, and each swirl paints the outlines of lives lived in near stillness. Though rarely seen, and even more rarely studied in motion, these interactions weave the hidden patterns that sustain the deep, reminding us that mystery lies not only in the creatures themselves, but also in the space between them, where slow currents shape unseen tales beneath a dreaming ocean. Fact 50. In the ghost-lit hollows of the Sunda Trench, among silty ridges shaped by 1,000,000 years of tectonic tension, lie vast graveyards of ancient plankton, silent archives of marine memory. As tiny organisms die in the upper layers of the ocean, their chalky skeletons descend over months, centuries, and sometimes millennia, forming thick marine snowfalls that carpet the trench floor. These white sediments, rich in foraminifera and coccolithophores, become layers of oceanic history, compressing into ooze that quietly holds the climate record of Earth's forgotten ages. Scientists extract core samples here, pulling up cylinders of silt to reveal traces of volcanic winters, ice ages, and warm tides that passed long before we did. In this archive untouched by sun or storm, each flake is both a ghost and a whisper of what once was, drifting down endless miles to rest. And so, the deepest ocean becomes more than a home for life. It is a keeper of stories, written not with ink or language, but in soft layers of time, waiting to be gently read beneath the weight of the world. Fact 51. In one of the most secluded trenches of the Indian Ocean, where silence reigns and temperatures rarely shift, researchers recently detected an unusual biological bloom, an aggregation of scavenging hagfish coiled together in a slow-motion cluster. These primitive, jawless fish, known for their ability to exude thick mucus when threatened, were seen congregating near a fallen whale carcass that had drifted to the abyssal plain. Their eel-like bodies, pale and boneless, twisted gently in a communal feast, absorbing nutrients from the massive remains in total darkness. Unlike feeding frenzies seen in shallower waters, this was a study in patience, each fish taking slow, rhythmic bites, pausing as if in synchronized thought. Their presence suggested an ancient ritual, a moment of deep-sea communion where scent and substance guided action. In a world where few encounters punctuate the eternal drift, even this quiet gathering became a celebration of life's persistence. The hagfish, survivors older than dinosaurs, continue to write their story, not in flash or violence, but in the soft, slow rustling beneath 1,000,000 leagues of time. Fact 52. In the deepest folds of the Java Trench, scientists have detected low-frequency tremors that ripple through the sediment, produced by tectonic activity far beneath the seafloor. These gentle earthquakes, barely felt beyond the watery crust, can trigger subtle changes in the landscape, causing deep-sea landslides or altering the course of sub-oceanic currents. Though imperceptible to the creatures living there, the shifting earth shapes the habitats of snailfish, anemones, and blind crustaceans, creating new ridges and valleys in slow, rolling silence. With each tremor, the abyss breathes, stretching its boundaries ever so slightly. Recording instruments placed on the seafloor pick up these movements like listening devices tuned to the heartbeat of the planet. In a world that feels unchanging, these subterranean shifts remind us that even beneath endless water and pressure, change continues, softly, persistently, and without witness. It is in these deep and delicate transformations that the ocean writes its story, not with sudden noise, but with the quiet motion of a world still becoming. Fact 53. In the brooding silence of the Izu Ogasawara Trench, explorers have recorded glimpses of a rarely seen creature, the deep-sea lizardfish. with elongated bodies cloaked in iridescent scales and eyes adapted for the faintest glimmers of bioluminescence. These predators wait motionless just above the sediment, their jaws lined with sharp, recurved teeth. Their appearance is unsettling, yet elegant, like a relic of an older Earth that never left the ocean's embrace. Despite dwelling at depths well beyond 6,000 meters, they are finely attuned to changes in water chemistry and movement, triggering swift lunges toward unsuspecting prey. Unlike the erratic sprint of surface hunters, the lizardfish strikes with precise economy, conserving energy in a world where each meal may be its last for weeks. Whether glimpsed fleetingly by submersible cameras or left unrecorded in the rolling dark, the deep-sea lizardfish moves like an owl. Cold black stillness of the trench. It is both sentinel and shadow. Part of a dream the ocean carries too deep to ever forget. Fact 54. High above the abyssal plain, beneath immense miles of water, scientists occasionally observe a wondrous celestial phenomenon. Deep scattering layers migrating vertically like ghostly armies, composed of countless small organisms such as zooplankton, squid, lanternfish, and jellyfish. This living cloud shifts daily in what is known as the largest migration on Earth. At dusk, they rise towards surface waters to feed under the shelter of night. At dawn, they retreat as one into the deep silent cloaks. This journey, repeated every day across all the world's oceans, involves millions of living beings moving as one massive, echoing tide. Detected first during World War II as mysterious sonar reflections, this layer pulses with life just beyond sight, writing a secret rhythm beneath the waves. Each migration paints a breath of motion in the stilled blue, revealing how even in the unseen depths, the Earth's clock ticks on. Not with chimes or bells, but with the flutter of fins and the hush of living shadows, keeping time in the ocean's great cathedral of quiet. Fact 55. Reclining in the serenity of the Philippine Trench, at depths exceeding 10,000 meters, scientists have found whispering evidence of microbial life hidden within serpentinized rocks, formations altered by the slow reaction of seawater and mantle material. These rocks, warm from chemical exchange rather than heat itself, exude hydrogen and methane into their surroundings, creating microscopic fuel for some of Earth's most ancient and enigmatic life forms. Bacteria nestled within the porous stone feed quietly on these emissions, crafting life from chemistry in total isolation. Their existence suggests a biosphere not reliant on sunlight or even vents, but on the subtle alchemy between stone and water. In this realm, life is not sparked by fire or light, but brewed like an elemental tea across eons. These microbial colonies are unseen stewards of the world's deepest crust, humming with creation in a place void of storms or seasons. And as they dwell in silence beneath continents of water, they remind us the story of life is written not only in light, but also in stone and slowness, where the deepest truths softly endure. Fact 56. In the bending valleys of the South Sandwich Trench, far beneath the breaking waves of the Southern Ocean, scientists uncovered ghostly trails etched into the sediment by deep-sea holothurians. a class of sea cucumbers that shuffle slowly across the seafloor like forgotten scribes. These creatures, soft-bodied and ethereal, leave behind looping paths as they graze for organic particles, tending the marine snow with movements that resemble calligraphy penned in silence. Some glow faintly with bioluminescence, releasing momentary pulses of pale green light, not as signals, but perhaps as side effects of digestion or unseen inner rhythms echoing through generations. With bodies filled with water instead of bones, they mold themselves to the contours of the trench, becoming one with the landscape as they pass. In their quiet procession, the holothurians offer no sound, no alarm, only a slow reverence for the deep, humble custodians of the ocean's softest traces, reminding us that even the faintest path, if walked long enough, becomes a timeless mark in the memory of the earth. Fact 57. Somewhere near the floor of the Kermadec Trench, cameras have captured elusive flickers of movement, phantom jellies with bell-shaped bodies and trailing veils that seem spun from moonlight. These rare deep-sea medusae, possibly belonging to the genus Stygiomedusa, remain so mysterious that fewer than 20 confirmed sightings have ever been recorded. Reaching spans of over 3 feet across, but lacking the stinging tentacles typical of their kind, they drift with 4 long oral arms, swaying in rhythmic silence. Cloaked in near invisibility, they pass through the water like apparitions, their movements unhurried, their presence ethereal. Scientists believe they feed by enveloping prey in their lengthy arms, drawing food slowly to a central mouth hidden beneath the soft dome. In the twilight hush of the trenches, where light falters and color dissolves, the phantom jelly becomes a floating mystery, a quiet dancer in a ballroom no one watches, performing not for attention, but for the deep itself. And with every silent sweep of its arms, it leaves behind the feeling that the ocean still holds secrets not meant to be unraveled, but to be dreamt of, quietly, as sleep gently takes you. Fact 58. Deep within the oceanic folds of the Java Trench system, beyond the gaze of light or noise, lies a stretch of seafloor enrobed in a fine, mineral-rich silt, unlike anywhere else on Earth. Here, researchers have identified formations called ferromanganese crusts, hard, slowly accreting layers of manganese, iron, and rare earth elements. These crusts grow at a rate of just a few millimeters every million years, forming solid mosaics over extinct volcanic mounts, like forgotten crowns. Their surfaces serve as substrates for creatures rarely seen: sessile sponges, biofilm colonies, and unclassified coral forms, each clinging in soft secrecy. The metals within these coatings reflect planetary processes on glacial timescales, accumulating particles from both the sea and outer space, a blend of terrestrial breath and stardust. As submersibles drift quietly above these glistening patches, unable to disturb their slow birth, even the ocean seems to pause, paying respect to the oldest walls of its cathedral. And it is here, in the steadfast hush, that we sense it again, the timeless patience of the deep, waiting, growing, remembering, and always dreaming. Fact 59. In the quiet cloisters of the Puerto Rico Trench, where the Atlantic dips to depths over 8,000 meters, scientists have discovered the rhythmic presence of deep-sea polychaetes, segmented worms with delicate bristles used for movement and sensing. These tiny engineers of the seabed build minute tunnels through sediment, cycling nutrients and shaping microhabitats grain by grain. Some species construct spiral burrows lined with mucus, forming stable walls against the shifting silt. Others weave intricate mats atop methane-affected zones, living symbiotically with bacteria that convert chemical compounds into energy. Their soft bodies undulate with a steady grace, threading through the dark with a patience that defies clock and calendar. Though nearly invisible to the naked eye, these worms form the foundation of many deep marine ecosystems, driving a slow revolution beneath every drifting current. In their still labors, the polychaetes remind us, once more, that even in the loneliest pocket of the world, quiet acts build the chorus of life. And even the smallest motion can write a hymn across centuries of silence. Fact 60. On the muted slopes of the Sunda Shelf, scientists recently discovered a peculiar biological pattern. Dense fields of benthic tunicates known as sea squirts, quietly blanketing sections of the deep sea floor. These invertebrates, appearing as plump, translucent sacs gently swaying in the current, are filter feeders, pulling in microscopic plankton through one porous opening and expelling clean water through another. Some species form soft colonies, clustering like underwater orchards tended by time itself, while others live alone, stoic and motionless. Their tissues are rich in cellulose-like compounds, an unusual trait among animals, which gives them a paradoxical connection to plant life. These silent sentinels thrive hundreds of meters beneath the surface, far from the pull of tide or storm. When touched by passing marine snow, they respond not with motion, but with absorption, weaving each flake into the cycle of life. In their subtle industry and serene design, sea squirts offer a final lull in our journey, a farewell whispered, not in words, but in rhythms of drift, digestion, and deep peace. Let this closing moment rest here, suspended like them, in the ocean's quietest cradle, where dreams and reality share the same gentle tide. Fact 61. In the twilight below the Tonga Trench, researchers once noted the elusive presence of a single drifting feather, not from bird or beast, but from a solitary pteropod, also known as a sea butterfly. These delicate mollusks flap wing-like lobes to glide through the water, their shell often transparent, lighter than glass. Some species resemble spiraling shells in miniature, no larger than a grain of sand, yet they move with remarkable poise over miles of open black. Living between 500 and 1,000 meters below the surface, they ride the thermocline where faint layers of temperature gradation touch and swirl. Feeding on minuscule phytoplankton, their journey is silent and unassuming, yet vital. As they die, their tiny carbon-loaded shells sink, contributing steadily to the global carbon cycle, a soft, cosmic loop grounded in each flickering glide. In closing, let this small voyager remind us, in the immeasurable silence of the sea, even the faintest wings write meaning on the water. And now, as your mind rests adrift in that still, starlit tide, may the ocean's last whisper cradle you into dream. Fact 62. Near the submerged slopes of the Scotia Arc, researchers have observed a strange occurrence. Vast carpets of glass-like particles spreading across the seafloor, later identified as radiolarian ooze. These particles are the silica-based skeletons of radiolarians, tiny planktonic organisms that float in the upper reaches of the ocean, before drifting down in death to settle for eternity. Over millions of years, the accumulation thickens, turning the deep basin into a repository of microscopic architecture. Under the submersible's lights, the ooze glints not unlike frost upon sleeping stone, revealing the patient craft of life's smallest artisans. Each shard, no larger than a whisper in size, contributes silently to the vast tapestry of marine sediment, an accumulation not of grandeur, but of gentle persistence. In their crystalline symphony, radiolarians remind us that even the most fleeting lives, a drift, a fall, a final rest, become part of the ocean's long memory. And so, as we draw to a close, may this final image settle softly upon you, like the slow descent of starlight into sea, inviting you now, dear dreamer, to follow the current into sleep's great and peaceful depth. Fact 63. Somewhere, deep beneath the curling shadows of the Peru Basin, lies a region where silence is so complete, it feels like an element itself. Here, beneath a crust of basalt shaped by ancient mid-ocean ridges, dormant microbial colonies wait, encased not in water or air, but in deep-sea sediment. These communities can remain inactive for thousands, even millions of years, until subtle changes in temperature, chemistry, or tectonic movement awaken them from slumber. In 2020, scientists recovered genetic material from microbes buried over 100 million years, revealing signs of metabolic life so faint they bordered on stillness. These time-locked organisms, suspended like seeds in eternal winter, challenge our understanding of life's boundaries. They whisper of a biology unconcerned with time as we know it, one that does not rush, shout, or bloom in daylight, but endures quietly in mineral rest. As our journey through the deepest ocean ends, let this final fact drift forward gently, like a pearl rising through velvet dark waters, a reminder that life, in its quietest form, is not a flicker, but a feeling older than light. Sleep now and dream deep, where the sea still keeps its softest secrets just for you. Fact 64. And now, as the deep ocean closes once more around its secrets, we return to the surface, not by rising, but by resting. Each fact we have uncovered tonight is not just a detail or phenomenon, but a lullaby drawn from the planet's most hidden depths. In the silence of trenches, the hush of currents, the drift of creatures barely known, the sea has told us who she is, endlessly patient, softly infinite. Her darkness is not absence, but embrace, where each fold of water cradles something miraculous and quiet. Let the rhythm of deep-sea life rock you now, as softly as marine snow descending through eternity, and may your dreams be cast wide and weightless like bioluminescent wanderers unmoored from light. Sleep deeply, gentle listener. The ocean will keep watch. Fact 65. As we come to the silken edge of this journey, one final truth drifts up through the darkness like a breath from beneath the bedrock. The ocean's deepest layers are still largely unknown. As of today, we have mapped only a small fraction of the Hadal trenches with precision, and less than 10% of the global seafloor in high detail. Each mission into the abyss, each submersible dive, is not an arrival, but a first glance, a beginning in a world without end. The Mariana Trench alone may contain thousands of species not yet seen, entire ecosystems unlit by study, their forms and dances still untouched by record. And though we peer into those depths with sonar and steel and light, the sea holds to her rhythm, whispering not all who look will see. This is Earth's quiet covenant, that mystery will always remain, patiently waiting not just to be solved, but to be sensed. So as the weight of sleep begins to gather around you now, may the soft hush of the ocean linger. Close your eyes and let the deep keep you, suspended, safe, and surrounded by wonder. Fact 66. And beneath it all, deeper than maps can trace and older than names can hold, lies the quiet truth that the deep sea is not empty, but full, not desolate, but dreaming. Each trench is a cathedral of stillness, each current a whispered verse of a longer hymn. From feather stars to phantom jellies, from microbial whispers to shimmering trails of drifting snow, these truths continue without need for our eyes or applause. They move in rhythms older than language and in silences deeper than sleep. And so now, as your breath settles like the tide and your mind drifts beyond the light of thought, know that you are held by the planet's patient heart, by the pillow of the ocean's hush, by the slow music of its endless below. Good night, brave dreamer. Let the deepest parts of the sea cradle you now. Fact 67. Floating high within the shadowed gradient zones of the open ocean, there exists an evanescent realm known as the deep scattering layer, a mirage of life suspended between light and darkness. Here, lanternfish shimmer with pinpoint glows, each a soft beacon, pulsing against the pressure of twilight. Larval squids spiral slowly past drifting siphonophores, and comb jellies tilt beneath the current, their cilia catching faint starlight spilled from above. This living layer swells and subsides each day in a gentle biological tide, echoing the great migrations without sound or stage. It is in these soft gatherings that the ocean draws breath, holding life aloft on invisible threads stronger than wire or will. As the last flicker descends into evening within this sonic twilight, let your thoughts join their hush, sinking beneath the surface of sleep. Drift easy now, into a depth unmeasured, where the stories of the sea still whisper your name in the quiet curl of a wave. Good night, and go softly into the tides of dreaming. Fact 68. Finally, in the narrowest reaches of the Earth's marine trenches, where darkness never lifts and time seems to stretch without end, the deep ocean holds one last secret: silence as sanctuary. Long after our questions have settled and our instruments have gone quiet, the ocean continues its slow, unbroadcast hymn. No pulses of sonar or gleams of light disturb the still water, yet within it, life rests, waits, and continues. The trenches do not ask to be known, only to be respected. And in that silence, we are offered something rare. Not answers, but stillness. As you drift now into sleep, let that stillness surround you like a warm current, unseen, but holding everything. May you dream of soft lights flickering under miles of water, of ancient shells resting undisturbed, of gentle currents that never hurry. Sleep deeply, sleep peacefully, and let the ocean, in all her dreaming dark, carry you far into the hush of night's embrace. Good night. Fact 69. And so, in these final fathoms of thought, something begins to settle. Not knowledge, but wonder. For what lies beneath the deepest trench is more than biology or geology, more than fact. It is the presence of mystery itself, resting undisturbed. The ocean floor, with its glacial stillness and ancient breath, becomes a mirror for the quiet parts of us that long to rest, to be held without urgency. Here are places without footsteps, without memory, yet full of life. Every whisper of current, every silent flicker of bioluminescence serves no purpose but to exist, and in that is peace. So let this be the final tide, the last soft echo before sleep. Leave your worries as driftwood on distant shores. Breathe deep. You are safe. The ocean is dreaming. And now, so are you. Fact 70. In the deepest curvature of Earth's watery embrace, beneath the crushing quiet of the Philippine Trench's southern reach, a final reflection waits, a mystery unmeasured and unseen, known only by its absence. Here, where no submersible has touched and no camera has lingered, the pressure is beyond reckoning, and the cold is not felt, but simply is. Life, if it stirs, does so beyond our calibration, beyond our names. And yet, even here, sediment falls in silence, currents drift with glacial purpose, and time breathes slowly among invisible ridges. We may never witness what resides in this final fold of the world, but its very presence reminds us that not all stories end with discovery. Some conclude with awe. And in the hush that now gathers around you, may this unspoken secret become a dream without need for answers. Sleep gently, dear listener. The journey has settled. The ocean is still. And in that stillness, you are home. Fact 71. As the last drift of marine snow falls softly over the seafloor, we close this journey with a quiet truth. The deep ocean is not a place to conquer, but a realm to revere. For within its folds, we find not just creatures and currents, but reflections of something deeper: resilience, slowness, and peace. Every Hadal trench, every silent organism, points to a world that thrives without display, evolving in patience, blooming in darkness. And perhaps, as your breath settles and sleep gathers like a gentle tide, you feel that same rhythm rising within, a murmur older than words, wrapped in the hush of depth. Let this be your resting place tonight, not in the rush of answers, but in the soothing weight of mystery. The sea keeps her secrets, and now you are part of them too. Sleep well and dream as the ocean dreams, endless, quiet, and beautifully unknown. Fact 72. At the serene edge of this deep ocean dreamscape, one final glimpse remains, not of creature or crust, but of connection. In a 2023 expedition to the trench margins near the South Pacific Gyre, researchers recovered what appeared to be small fragments of bleached coral debris resting over 7,000 meters below the surface. These fragments, DNA analysis revealed, originated from shallower reefs, carried down over centuries by the slow drift of water and landslides, a voyage from sunlight into shadow. Though lifeless now, they once pulsed with color and warmth, and their repose in the darkest trench is a testament to the ocean's interconnected soul. The shallow knows the deep, and the deep remembers the shallow. As these pieces settle into the sediment, they carry stories of waves and reef songs, of tides once vibrant, now hushed. And as you rest here, on the soft current between worlds, remember this: what is deep is never separate, only sleeping. Let this be your final breath into the hush, your heartbeat mirrored in the sea's slow grace. Sleep, and let the ocean hold you still. Fact 73. And now, With one final sigh from the depths, we reach the last ripple of this ocean-bound reverie. Deep in the Hadal folds of the Kuriel Trench, near where tectonic plates collide in ancient embrace, an unlikely oasis was discovered. A single solitary sponge, blooming from a basalt boulder, like a candle in the dark. There was no colony, no coral, no swarm, only this one soft form, its fine lattice catching passing particles as if expecting them. Scientists, just for a moment, paused their instruments and simply watched. In a place of crushing pressure and unyielding silence, this lone, breathing structure became more than data. It became a symbol that even in the harshest, most forgotten corners of Earth, something can pulse, thrive, endure. Let this final image guide you into rest. You have traveled far, not in distance, but in depth, of thought, of calm, of wonder. Let the sponge's patient stillness fill your dreams tonight. The ocean has spoken softly and now holds you gently as you drift into sleep. Good night. Fact 74. In the final hush of the ocean's deepest echoes, we find a truth not illuminated by instruments or discoveries, but revealed in stillness itself. Across every trench, every abyssal plain, and every flicker of life traced through the dark, there flows an invisible thread. A memory echoed in every drifting mote of snow, every ghostly glide of gelled forms, every breathless pause beneath centuries of quiet pressure. The deep sea does not simply exist. It listens. It holds every lullaby once whispered by tides, every glow that bloomed without witness, every rhythm etched in silence. As your breath softens and your body rests in the ebb of this timeless ocean hymn, feel the stories no longer spoken, but felt, not as science or fact or curiosity, but as the music of slowness itself. Good night, gentle soul. You are safe now, resting in the lull and hush of Earth's deepest embrace. Let the sea cradle you, steady and still, until morning rises like a wave, too distant to wake you. Fact 75. Let this final truth unfold like a wave that never breaks, that the deepest parts of the ocean are not endings, but beginnings in slow motion. Beneath miles of forgotten blue lies not just Earth's most ancient vault, but its softest voice. What we call extreme is merely the calm pulse of creation beyond hurry or comparison. In the silence of trenches, life reveals itself not through spectacle, but through gentle continuance. Microbes waiting 100 million years to stir, sponges blooming on basalt invisibly, strange lights flickering where no one sees. These truths drift outside time, defying measurement, inviting only pause. And so, as your mind slips now into sleep, know that this journey remains with you, not as fact, but as feeling. A deep, still echo that murmurs where dreams begin. Rest now, held not by water, but by wonder. Good night, and may the hush of the deep sea carry you far past waking. Fact 76. And so, as we come to the edge of exploration and whisper into the last unspoken fold of the sea, one truth remains unshaken, that the ocean, in her deepest chapters, offers more than mystery. She offers permission to be still, to drift, to let the mind slow to the pace of marine snow. For every lightless trench and every organism unrecorded, there is also an invitation, not always to know, but simply to be. In the hush between pressure and patience, we find not merely facts, but a rhythm that mirrors the gentlest parts of ourselves. Tonight, May that mirror ripple softly across your thoughts and settle into your breath, anchoring you in rest. The sea has shared her lullabies, her silence, her secrets that exist only to be felt. Let that be enough. Sleep now, traveler of quiet depths. The journey is complete. The deep holds you. Fact 77. Let this final note arrive like a breath too soft to hear, a whisper beneath miles of water where time forgets to rush. In the closing depths of the trench, beyond reach, beyond light, lies the most enduring truth of the ocean, that stillness is not emptiness, but presence held gently. For every creature unseen, for each flicker of bioluminescence that vanishes before our machines can mark it, there is continuity, a stream of life that does not perform, but persists. And so, as we bring this sleepy voyage to its gentle end, may you carry something of these depths within you, not the knowledge alone, but the calm, the patience, the beauty born from always waiting. Rest now in that peace. You have touched the quiet core of the world. Sleep, and let the ocean dream through you. Good night. Fact 78. As we lower the final lantern into the deep, let it shine not on a creature, but on the space between them, the invisible, living fabric that joins all things in the abyss. Here, in the still folds of the Hadal realm, where silence reigns and even currents hesitate, every motion is part of a larger rhythm, unspelled but felt. Microbes touch minerals, amphipods trace ancient ridges, snow falls, then rises again as memory in another shape. The sea does not separate life. It binds it through slow procession and shared breath. And now, as your own breath becomes gentler, your mind stilled as silt on the trench floor, let yourself drift once more, no longer seeking, but simply being. For in the heart of the ocean, even the smallest pause becomes part of the longest song. Sleep now in that drifting note. The journey is whole, the ocean is quiet, and you, dreamer of wonders, are gently held in its final hush. Good night, and stay resting where awe and calm become one. Fact 79. In the very last fathoms of the Hadal world, where pressure crushes with the force of mountains and darkness reigns forever, there remains only the rhythm of descent, a surrender to depth rather than a chase for discovery. Here, the ocean no longer reveals, but simply is. The water, dense and still, folds in on itself like velvet, sheltering life not for study, but for preservation. Each forgotten ridge, each unmapped swell, breathes with the pulse of ancient stillness. And as your own breath slows to meet that rhythm, let this final dream bloom in silence, that the ocean does not wait to be known, it waits to be felt. With this last truth, close your eyes and let the tide of sleep lift you gently home. The story is complete. The sea is quiet. Good night. Fact 80. And now, with just one final ripple echoing through the abyss, the journey descends into silence. Beneath the vast weight of water, where no light endures and no sound lingers, the deep sea becomes something more than a realm of science. It becomes a mirror for stillness itself. For every fact, every glowing creature, every ancient breath of sediment and salt, there is also a beckoning hush, an invitation to remember what it means to slow, to observe, to simply exist. As we close this lullaby of 80 truths, let the ocean's rhythm be your own, steady, dark, warm, and unbroken. Feel the pulse of the trenches, the drift of unseen lives, the infinite patience of a world that waits without need. You are here now, not in pursuit, but in peace. Let the gentle tide hold your thoughts, soften your breath, and carry you into sleep. The story has been told in quiet. The sea has spoken in calm. Good night and dream deep, where mystery sleeps beside you and wonder never ends. Fact 81. Gentle listener, let this final drift of ocean thought rest with you now. A quiet coda to a journey shaped by stillness, salt, and time. Beneath the ice-shaded folds of the ocean's farthest depths, where even language dissolves, life continues not in spectacle, but in gentle persistence. Each trench, each crest, holds the echo of beginnings long before us and futures that flow with no urgency. The sea teaches that to exist in the dark is not to be lost. It is to be held in the planet's oldest memory. And so, close your eyes. Let sleep envelope you like deep water, cool and soft. The tides have settled, the lights have dimmed, and the voices of the deep now hush into silence. Rest here, beloved dreamer, where the earth breathes slowly, and you are home beneath the waves. Good night. Fact 82. And so, in this final luminous fold of our descent, we return one last time to the hush that binds the ocean's story together. A silence not of absence, but of meaning held gently in pause. In a 2025 deep-sea deployment north of the Puerto Rico Trench, autonomous landers recorded nothing but darkness and stillness for days, until at last, a single slow shape moved across the frame. A sea spider, long-legged and pale as dawn fog, gliding silently over soft sediment. It left no trail, made no stir, yet its presence lingered. A quiet echo of life continuing beneath time's gaze. In that motion, fragile, unfelt, yet certain, was the essence of everything we've uncovered. The deep sea offers not spectacle, but sanctuary. A place where slowness itself is sacred. As your breath falls into rhythm with that final glide, may you feel the weight of wonder gently dissolve into calm. Drift now, far beyond the reach of thought, into the deepest dream of all. The journey is complete. The sea is still, and in its silence, you are home. Good night. Fact 83. Beneath the final hush of shadow and silt, where the weight of the world is pressed into stillness, let this last truth ripple quietly into rest, that the deep ocean is not only a place of endings, but a canvas painted by the unseen. In February 2025, a drifting autonomous glider recorded the faintest scatter of planktonic echoes beneath the South Sandwich Trench, a ghostly ballet of life that no eye had ever caught and no sound had ever claimed. These echoes shimmered silently against the emptiness, revealing that even here, in Earth's most profound solitude, motion and memory still exist. Not rushing, not announcing, just being. Let this be the closing lullaby. The ocean has welcomed you, shared her deepest breaths, and now wraps you gently in the current of dreams. Float now into sleep's deepest chamber, where facts become whispers and silence becomes home. Good night, dear voyager. The sea is holding you still. Fact 84. And now, with this final drift, our voyage into the ocean's deepest truths releases its last breath into stillness. There, beneath miles of unbroken water and time unmeasured, lies the eternal hush. Not an emptiness, but a fullness so vast it quiets all but wonder. Every glowing life, every sleeping trench, every drifting thread of marine snow has joined together in this tapestry of calm. You've traveled far tonight, through silence and salt, through forgotten folds and luminous whispers. Let this be your resting place, held not just by words, but by the weightless hush that only the deep knows. The journey ends, not with a conclusion, but by allowing stillness to rise. Let your breath fall softly now, like sediment to the ocean's floor. Sleep deeply, dream fully. The ocean dreams with you. Good night. Fact 85. And with this final ripple, we come gently to the end, not of mystery, but of motion. For even in the deepest silence, the ocean is still moving, still breathing, holding every secret as delicately as sleep holds a dream. Scientists estimate that new hadal species are discovered with nearly every expedition, yet the sea offers these revelations in whispers, not declarations. The last truth is simple, that knowing is not a requirement for wonder, and exploration does not require urgency. It only asks for reverence. So let this be our final descent, not into depth, but into peace. You have wandered far beneath the waves tonight, and now you return, wrapped in the quiet that only ancient water can sing. Rest now, peacefully, as the deep sea folds itself once more around its secrets, keeping them and you cradled in calm. Good night, and dream deeply where the ocean dreams.